Hi there, my name's Sarah Maud, and I'm here to talk about a fear of public speaking. Now, whether you experience a fear of public speaking because of the fear of having to deliver a presentation at work, the fear of having to pitch, the fear of having to deliver a lecture, or even the fear of having to speak in a social setting, then absolutely rest assured that you are not alone, because actually the fear of public speaking is one of the greatest fears that people have. And I've worked with hundreds and hundreds of people over the last 10 years to help them overcome a fear of public speaking. And one of the questions that I'll ask you, which I ask all of my clients, is how do you decide when to get anxious? So whether you've got a presentation or a pitch or some kind of team meeting coming up, when do you decide to get anxious? And the answer is always before the actual event itself. And whether that's an hour before the event, whether it's the night before the event, a week before the event, or in cases, months before the event, what that lets us know is that it's not about the actual event itself, that a fear of public speaking is about all the thoughts, the meaning, the feeling, the past experiences, that what you're doing is you're literally projecting onto that future event and what you believe will happen when you speak in public. So it might be that you've had experiences where you've just gone into the freeze response, where you've not been able to articulate yourself, where you've not been able to access the executive functions of the brain in order to answer a question. So there's this fear of being put on the spot and not being able to answer questions. There's this fear that I'm going to be in a room and people might judge me. There's often a fear that I'm okay speaking in public to a really small group of people, but when the room hits a certain critical mass, so when you know that the room is going to include people of maybe, say, more than 10 to 12, that's when the anxiety is going to kick in. I get people that often say, I'm anxious for the first 4 minutes, but after that, I'm okay. I get people telling me that they've got a fear that they're not clever enough, that there's a certain level of seniority, that if they know that they're going to be more senior people in the room, that's when they decide to get anxious. So people like you can get anxious for any number of reasons, but it's the anxiety that's kicking in before the actual event itself. And that's because your mind doesn't know the difference between what's a real fear and what's a perceived fear. So you can think about speaking in public the night before, the week before, the month before, and you can literally have a physical reaction, even though you're not actually there speaking in public. And the more that we have these experiences, the more that we believe that the fear is coming from having to speak in public. But it might surprise you to know that your feelings, whether that's fear, whether that's doubt, whether that's insecurity, whether that's worry, any feeling, it doesn't know anything about what's actually going on. Because in order to experience a feeling, in order to experience an emotion, you first have to have a thought. And it's not even necessarily about the content of your thinking, but it's about how much thinking that you've done about this topic. And like anything, that if we think about something enough, then we're going to start to create neural pathways in the brain that we automatically default to when we feel under pressure. When we feel that sense of fear, we just go into those neural pathways, that insecure thinking about all the beliefs about what we think is going to happen, those worries that I'm going to go red, those worries about what people are going to think a bit about me, those worries about, am I going to be able to remember? Those worries are people going to see me as boring? Any number of things that you can create meaning about, that you can believe that you think is going to happen. But the good news is that you can overcome this. And you can overcome it because your brain is made of neuroplasticity, which in simple terms means that your brain is moldable. And people often say, I need to be rewired. I need you to rewire the way that I think. And the term rewiring is really just a metaphor because there are no wires in your brain. But what there are the neural pathways. The neural pathways, like a roadmap, that have been created based on the totality of all of your experiences and about the beliefs and the identities that you're holding true at the moment about yourself. That again, that you're just constantly projecting onto those future events. So in a way, you're kind of hypnotizing yourself to experience what it is you think is going to happen. So what we'll do when we work together is to really establish, what are those thoughts? What are those beliefs? What is it that you're thinking will happen? And we'll use a combination of different approaches to create a new neural structure in your brain, to create a new emotional roadmap, to be able to dissolve and neutralize those fears and any of those memories about where things maybe didn't go to plan that have still got quite a strong emotional charge to them. So that when you start to speak in public, you can start to be a lot more present. You can feel calm. You can feel grounded. You can go into these events knowing that you can do this, knowing that you've got it. So if that's something that you're interested in exploring further, then book a consultation, jump onto the link, and we can have a chat about how we can work together. And you can join the hundreds of other people and testimonials that you'll find on the website, where people actually now enjoy speaking in public.